Coach, tell me your earliest memory of basketball.
I guess I have some early memories of basketball that are related to Lexington, or just more just being a kid. I can remember I went to Monroe School, which was an elementary school in town, and they had two baskets that had both been hit by snow plows, so they were tilted sideways. And I can remember going there. I lived probably, a half mile away, and we'd go over there and we'd play, and then you'd come home because your hands were cold, and you'd have like those cuts in your hands from playing out in the cold. And you'd stay home for a little while, and then you'd be back over there before you knew it. So that's a very early memory of basketball. As far as Lexington basketball, I can remember coming to a game. Here's a good first memory. They used to play all the tournament games, the state tournament games in the Boston Garden. And that was whether you were in the sectional championship or it was a preliminary game. So on a Saturday, you could go in there at 9 o'clock in the morning and watch games till 11 o'clock at night. And that was a big selling point for me on how much fun basketball could be. And then by the end of the night, it would be the A-level teams, like Boston English versus Catholic Memorial, and they'd fill up both ends of the Garden. And the fans would be cheering for their team and against the other school, and it was just a tremendous atmosphere. It was a lot of fun. It certainly is a great place to play basketball, and it's been a great atmosphere. I can go back to 8, 9, 10 years old all the way up till now, and it's just if you ask people in the Middlesex League where they'd like to play a big game, in front of what crowd, this would be the first choice out of anybody that had a clue. This is the game that all the Middlesex League teams point to. And the high school kids would be the referees. Ronnie Lee would be reffing your game. So that was a big deal. It was something to point at all week. They had after-school sports in the elementary schools, and you'd play other schools twice a year. And that was a big deal. So that, the Saturday morning sports was big because there was whatever amount of elementary schools there were, you played for your elementary school. So Monroe would be playing a Bridge, or Monroe would be playing Adams, and it was a big deal. As a sixth grader, you couldn't wait to get into the junior highs because they had teams and uniforms, and you traveled, and they did neat things like if you made the team, you got sneakers. Of course, every year I got older, they moved it to the next grade, so I never got those free sneakers. But that was you'd play a Middlesex League schedule. I knew in high school that the team I was going to be part of was going to be very good. When we were in 9th grade, there was 3 junior highs, or 3 middle schools: Diamond, Clark, and Muzzy. And Clark came in first in the league, Muzzy was second, Diamond was third, and then the rest of the Middlesex League was after us. So we had a good foundation.
Were you all friends, the team? Did you grow up together?
Yeah, my group was very tight, the class I was in. And not that I think that's a prerequisite, but it certainly helps. And I think for the most part, Lexington basketball players, whether they hang around with each other out of school, which in most cases they probably do, when they're in the gym, they're one. And that certainly is, that's a reflection on their coaching staff. It's also a reflection on how much the kids care about being basketball players in this town. My buddy Mark Nesline was very unique. He got brought up early from the JV and actually played a lot of minutes as a sophomore on the varsity. It did happen, but it was not all the time. And like the kid Gene Mewborn, who was the star of our team in 1978, he started from day one. Ronnie Lee started as a freshman, but those were just that didn't happen that often. Well, like I said, nowadays it happens a lot more.
Tell me your first time seeing Coach Farias. What did you think?
Coach Farias was my fourth grade physical education teacher. I do not recall seeing him coach before meeting him as a fourth grade student, but I could be wrong on that. He was a very intense coach on the sideline. But as a gym teacher, although he was, you didn't fear him as a gym teacher. It's not like you went to class and were afraid that this guy was going to hurt you or something like that. Quite the contrary. He was actually very fun to have as a gym teacher. I knew that going in. I did not know he was going to be the varsity coach. When I was in ninth grade, Coach Boynton was the varsity coach, and I just assumed I would be playing for him someday. He used to come to a lot of the junior high games, and I think he switched jobs or something, and that's why he left the job. But getting Mr. Farias was very exciting. And my sophomore year was his first year as the varsity coach, and we did win the league that year. We had a great team. And it continued to get better for him.
Were you nervous the first time you had practice for him?
Sure. I think I was nervous the first day of every practice, regardless of whether it was, in middle school or high school or college. I think the first day it's all new, it's clean, and you've put a lot of time into it, and you're ready to go. And if you're not nervous, then maybe you shouldn't be there.
Do you remember the first game you played on this court?
I played a JV game here as a sophomore, my first game here, and we played Brookline from the Suburban League at the time. We won big. I had 18. But yeah, it was the lights. It was a big deal coming from the junior high I was in, which was a real small bandbox of a gym, into a big atmosphere, and it was a night game, and it was my first night game, and it was a great feeling.
You miss those days playing here?
Do I miss them? I've got very fond memories. I won't say I miss them. I get plenty of reminders of my past. In fact, I keep getting better every year as I get older. So they tell me. No, I don't miss them. They were great memories. I wouldn't want to change them. They're good just the way they were.
Tell me about some of your teammates. You said you're very close. You guys hang out together.
Yeah, most of the guys I graduated with on the team, we're still staying in touch now. Mark Nesline is co-captain with me. I see him a lot. I've had some involvement coaching his sons a little bit, or helping with them anyway. Brian Lanier was another teammate. His oldest son was my captain at Concord last year. His youngest son will be a starting guard for me this year. And he's got another one coming up that will, if I'm still at Concord, he'll be a player. Stevie Shorter was a teammate with that group. He's a referee now. I see him in the AAU circuit. I see him during the winter. It's a hug and a kiss right away when we see each other. John Cordy, another teammate. I do not see him as much, but when I see him, I see him once a year anyways. These other guys I see a lot more. Charlie McCarthy was another teammate. I coached his son in the AAU. I don't know Peter O'Shaughnessy and Andy Hayes were also members of that team. They're out west. I do not see them that much, but it was and I hope I didn't forget one of the seniors that was with that group right now, but it was a hardworking, dedicated, loyal group. We even had great fans. I went to the Patriots game yesterday with Steve Chirokas. His brother was a junior on the team. Steve was the last cut on the team, and you would have thought he was part of the team. He led the stands. We had the best fans. He was the ringleader, and like I said, I was at the Pats game with him yesterday. So it was a very tight-knit group. We go out after games together, whether it was to McDonald's or someone's house or whatever. We played in the Summer League for another 10 years after that, and we were all either we were at each other's weddings or in each other's weddings. Very loyal group.
Did you enjoy playing for Coach Farias at the time?
Did I enjoy playing for Coach Farias? I like to win. We won. I know Mr. Farias always wanted to win the game, so I certainly enjoyed playing for Coach Farias. Now, as a coach, kids are not always going to love you every day, but as long as you respect the person and you work hard, that's ideally what I'm looking for my kids to have when they play for a coach. Certainly I have a much different relationship with him now than I did. I play golf with him. He's Sean's godfather. He's known my kids since they were this big. He's known my wife since before I married her. When it's all said and done, most people appreciate playing for him.
How about your teammates at the time? You'd go out with them afterwards. They curse Coach Farias after a rough practice, rough loss.
My friends were no different than any other kid playing for a coach. Everyone had good days and bad days, and that's part of that builds the family and the community and there was people that could do great imitations of Coach Farias, and I'm sure Coach Farias could do even better imitations of some of the kids on the team. It's just, there's a lot of give and take.
When did you know that team was special? Was it the first practice? The chemistry was just there? You knew it?
Like I said, we were very good when we were little. We worked extremely hard year-round at it. I mean, we all played other sports, but the air never came out of the ball. If we went to baseball practice, we were at the courts, a half hour after that, or we were at Hayden at night playing. We played all over the place in the summer. We'd sneak into Bentley's gym and play over there. Wherever we could get a game, we were there. We all set a goal to win a state title. I don't know how realistic it was. I guess it was realistic, but it takes a lot of luck to have that happen. And certainly we earned a lot of the breaks that happened to us. We got it done. So yeah, I knew we were going to contend for the league when I was in ninth grade. I knew we'd be going for a league title, I played in some boys club tournaments with Gene as a ninth grader. He was only in seventh grade, and we went over in this Wakefield tournament, and we beat some city schools. Don Bosco was probably the program in the state then. We beat them in the championship game over there in a freshman tournament. So not that winning at the freshman level means everything, but we were beating some talented teams, even at a young age. We played Cambridge in the Hayden tournament. We beat them. I mean, we could play.
Can you take me back to the setting of the title game before? When you woke up, did you sleep the night before?
Yeah, I stayed in the night before. The night before the state championship game was, we practiced here. At that point, practice was more, we were just waiting to get to the game. We'd go over stuff that the other team was doing, and we'd shoot free throws and run a little bit. But in reality, we were ready. We had put in the time. We just wanted to play the game. The night before the game, I didn't sleep much. I got a lot of phone calls. There was people over my house. My parents had people over. Everybody was excited about it. The town was into it. And I had a pretty good superstition going on during that season. As the season progressed, we were, we started winning. I had eaten meat, raviolis and sausages before a game, and my mother would make me raviolis and sausages before every game. Well, the game against Durfee was on a Saturday. I believe it started at 1 o'clock. At 9 o'clock, I was eating raviolis and sausages that morning, and
How did that develop?
I don't know. Well, I loved the meal for one. That was. I certainly love pasta, and my mother did a good job with that. It just, we probably played we played Tuesday and Friday night, so if we were playing at the games were like 7:30, they might even been 8 o'clock sometimes back then. They start much earlier now. So on a home game, you certainly had time to actually eat a legitimate supper before a game, with time to process it.
You tell anyone that superstition?
I've told people since. I don't know if people knew what was going on then. I mean, I think all the kids had. I wore the same socks for every game, and then I lost them in the tournament. And believe me, that was an issue with me. I looked, I couldn't find them. But I guess it wasn't the socks. Pete Maravich used to wear the same socks all the time. I don't know, if kids kind of followed that track. But
Can you remember what Coach Ferry said to you before tip-off?
He said a lot going through we had probably won on a Wednesday. We beat St. John's Prep. And so we had, I think, 2 days to prep for that, for the Durfee game. And I can just remember certain things he said. I know he said his mother had called him and said, it wasn't, she was already saying it wasn't good enough to be there. She said, someone's got to win that game, Bobby. And as she said, it might as well be you. So we went in there to win the game. He did some little things. I know with me, Durfee had a point guard named B.J. McDonald that, they had won the state title the year before. They had 4 out of the 5 starters back. Great program, very good team, terrific team. And, he came up to me and said, I think you're better than him. Well, that ticked me off like you wouldn't believe, because I thought I was 100 times better than him. I didn't think I was better than him. I thought he was 1,000,000 times better than him. And, my guess is he did things like that with a lot of kids on the team to plug them. But, at that point, he was it was a lot of positive energy. And, we were prepared to play. And, obviously he was a giant part of that. We were well coached. We were better coached than the other team. And that's not to say Coach Karam wasn't a great coach, but we played harder that day than they did.
I'm going to stop it here because we're going to get out of here.
All right.
I don't want to take up.
A question about Sean was that
Okay.
again?
That's good. Can we get another time with you to do something like this?
Well, in the event that we don't, why don't you just
Ask a single question, just to tie it all together. What about the traditions? Do you follow any of those same traditions with your son? Like the spaghetti and meatballs, anything like that?
Let's go back.
I think one neat thing about Sean is his mother has watched a lot of basketball. She watched me play, in high school and college and men's leagues and all that. And she's watched Sean since Sean was a tiny little boy. And, a lot of people have said that Sean is me on the court. And I take that as a compliment. I personally think he's better than I was. He shoots the ball better, and he doesn't have a jealous bone in his body. I think he's a terrific teammate. Who, you know, I don't know if I was as good of a team. I mean, I was a good teammate, but this kid is just a terrific teammate. And he wants to win as much as anyone, and he'll do it the right way. Traditions with him, I try to leave him alone. If he's got things that he likes to do, I found watching him that if I wanted my shoes tied a certain way, like before a game, I'll watch him, and he'll take forever to get ready for a game. He's got an ankle brace and the sneakers, and you know, whereas I would like him to be ready 20 minutes before that. He just takes his time and gets ready. Obviously, he's the one playing the game, so I can't get too worked up on him about stuff like that. So as far as any pet peeves that Sean has, if he has them, I don't know about them. I wouldn't doubt if he has them. I'm sure he does something the same.
And, Coach, do you ever talk with him after each game?
Sean and I talk a lot, but
Yeah, I just wanted to get last question.
I talk a lot to Sean. You know, I coach Sean. I've coached Sean since he was in 7th grade, where I was the coach. So there's been anywhere from 30 to 60 games every year where I've had an opportunity to address him, not only him, but a lot of the other kids in the program. So yeah, I talk to Sean now. Sometimes, like last year and the year before, I didn't get to see games because of the Concord schedule and the Lexington schedule. You know, Tuesday, Friday, that's high school basketball. Although they've changed a lot of that so that I can see. I should probably see 16 out of the 20 regular season games this year. You know, it's very easy to talk to a kid after a win, or they have a good game. I try to leave them alone for the most part, but I will address things when an opportunity presents itself. And while coaching that AAU team, there was a lot of travel time where we'd be in a car together, or even after a game or at halftime or whatever. So yeah, we do talk a lot. He's got a very good feel for the game, and you know, a brief story. They lost a fall league game recently. You know, Sean hasn't been playing much because of football, but I guess a lot of the kids were upset. And I got an email from one of the parents stating how good Sean was after the game, talking to their son, and he said a lot of the right things. So, you know, I think Sean's been listening.
You're more proud of that than anyone.
Yeah, that's good stuff. I mean, that's when I say he's a good teammate. That's a special thing. And Lexington has a lot of good teammates, and that's what separates it, amongst other things.
Coach, I got a million questions I need to ask you.
All right.
That was great.
All right, thanks so much.
All right. I mean, I can finish this at some point.
Yeah, I want to ask you a million more questions. Get another half an hour. Got any more time?
We'll have Rose Park Party. That's fine. I won't talk to you. All right.
Thank you so much for that.
Oh, no, I don't mind. I just don't want it to be about me.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to get at. Well, we've got it.
You know, the other thing,